All right. Good morning, joyous time zones, my Sakonauts. I'm Sako Tumi, also known as the Witch of Tylwyth Teg, and today we are talking about masks in Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. Now, I would like to start by addressing your third eye, your ajna. This is your logical sense and your intuition. Despair spurred on by pointlessness, lack of direction, and even paranoia can be signs of a blocked third eye. Let me make sure my mic is set up the way I want it. Yes, it is. Sit with your hands in your lap and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it for a moment. And as you let it out through your mouth, let go of the tension from the night and the grogginess of the morning. Take another deep breath in. As you breathe in, imagine you are breathing in pure love. As you breathe out, imagine you are breathing out forgiveness. Take a third deep breath in, and as you do so, imagine a light coming in at the top of your head. It enters at the top of your head and spreads down over your face, neck, and shoulders. This cleansing light now expands along your back, down your legs, and out through your feet. It is as if cleansing light is a constant flow of soothing energy entering from your head and passing out through the arches of your feet. Let the energy calm your thoughts, clear your mind of stress and worry. Think not of the future and what you need to do. Think not of what you've done and what that might mean. Appreciate this space for you, the present, the peace, that sense of home that we often ignore. You can now manipulate that light into energy. Let it pass through the top of your head and pause at your forehead. Begin to visualize a small purple ball at the center of your forehead. Funnel the energy into that ball and feel it grow light. Feel your lower body grow heavy and your upper body grow weightless. Your forehead grows cool and feather-light. With your normal eyes closed, your third eye begins to expand and grow as it accumulates more and more energy, like a helium balloon. Watch as it begins to glow from the inside out, the bluish purple balloon getting larger but not heavier. As your purple ball begins to push against the edges of your forehead, it seems contained, the pressure growing as the ball grows in its finite container. Keep feeding it. Push against the edges harder and harder until it bursts open. The energy from within the ball, within your third eye that was once stagnant, now flows freely through your body. Head, throat, chest, belly, and legs. Feel them all as they are drenched in this wonderful purple energy. Enjoy the rush. Enjoy the cool light it gives off. Enjoy how light it makes you feel. Reach out with your feelers, with your power. What do you sense around you? Take one more deep breath in and begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. Welcome. If you're just joining us, we just did our morning chakra cleansing. I'd like to say hello to Christina Poe. Good morning. And Raven Stromdance. So good to see you. I know this was running just a touch late. And I needed more coffee, so. Oh, hi, Debbie. We are watching the ISS live feed on Earth live. One of the men up there came into the screen to do something in the compartment we were watching. Bailey said, "Wow, floating," and is not crawling around like an astronaut. That was super deep for being at the laundromat. Good morning, Raven. Good morning, Debbie. Let's pull a card. I have not had a chance to shuffle these just yet. Come on. White card, I don't need you. Oh my God, why? So I just came back from the dealership as I'm having maintenance done on my GTI. I'm washing my son's clothes today, and God's above and below protect me from the hygiene habits of a 21-year-old. Yeah. Super stinky, huh? The Seven of Cups. Be careful what you wish for. Many prizes are presented to you, some of which may not be in your best interest. You are projecting your dreams onto reality, creating illusions that seem way too good to be true. Too many options can be confusing, and you find yourself constantly living in a state of fear of missing out, for fear of making the wrong choice. Each cup offers you a different prize, representing areas of your life, each filled with a wish. However, it does not promise a positive result. Be clear on what your long-term visions are, so that whichever cup you choose brings you closer to your goals. Temptation is calling, offering vices that are hard to ignore. These choices, however, can come with long-term consequences. So weigh your pros and cons if you choose to indulge. Having your head in the clouds is not always great. Ha ha ha. Good luck, Raven. The neutral posture. Find a posture which, for you, reflects a sense of calm readiness for action. You should be relaxed, attentive to what is around you, and prepared, but not tensed, for whatever is going to happen next. You should be able to find both a standing and a sitting posture. Lying down is not recommended, though, as it is difficult to spring into action from a prone position. This posture represents you at your axis mundi, the mind at rest. just at me next time. Finding this posture is useful as it is the posture which you can move in and out of to demarcate between different magical acts. For example, in the assumption of God forms described above, you would move out of this posture and take on the posture of the entity you are invoking upon yourself, and back into it when you have finished. I had a dream about a friend that passed in 2019. He said pretty much the same thing. Keep your head on your shoulders. The clouds are beautiful, but don't get caught up in them for too long. That is wild. How might your body posture change when you invoke an entity into yourself? Most entities have characteristic postures. However, if you don't, it's a characteristic posture. You can decide on one in advance. I don't know what he was trying to say there. However, if you do, as you experience a change in perception, your body posture will change in ways of which you may not at first be wholly aware. An enhanced feeling of confidence and poise tends to draw your shoulders back and your head up. Your chest cavity will expand as you breathe deeply and slowly. Your limbs will be further away from the center line of your body. Standing with your feet apart and your arms spread upwards and outwards, for example, is the classical posture for invocation. You are extending your body space to its limits, making yourself vulnerable. Conversely, standing with your arms folded across your chest and your head bent slightly downwards is the classical posture for closing after works of magic, as you close yourself off to external influences. Gestures are a key element in nonverbal communication. With a wide range of uses, from making a simple yet emphatic gesture at the motorist who overtakes you, to the elaborate signing languages used by those with impaired speech. The gesture which is used most in modern magic is that of one's jabbing one's hand sharply downwards from the shoulder, representing the magical will projecting forth into the future. Experiment with using gestures until you find ones which work for you, which for you eloquently communicate relaxation, drawing inwards, projecting forth power, and so on. For example, cupping one's hands can signify the gathering of power. Focus awareness into your hands and feel a faint tingling sensation and a slight resistance when you try and bring them together. Imagine a ball of energy forming in this space, and imagine a sigil forming in its midst. Take a deep breath, clap your hands loudly, and make a gesture of flinging outwards. A very simple way of casting an enchantment. Find others and create your own battery of gestures. Now we get into mask magic. In modern Western culture, masks are reduced to objects of art, to be hung on walls or displayed in museums. At best, they are used as disguises. In surviving shamanic cultures, however, masks are considered to be extremely powerful magical weapons. Some African tribes, for example, keep their masks locked away to protect people from the power of the mask's gaze. Bad grammar. Some Polynesian masks are carved with their eyes looking downwards so they cannot stare directly at onlookers. A mask hung on a wall may be beautiful to look at, but has very little vitality until its personality has been activated. Both tribal shamans and modern drama teachers impress on their students that masks have their own personalities. When a mask is donned, the personality of the wearer is overshadowed by that of the mask, and once the wearer becomes used to this idea, a trance state may ensue where the spirit of the mask takes over. As a magical object, the purpose of the mask is to drive out the individual's personality and allow a spirit to take over. Both overshadowing and full possession may be experienced working with masks. It's not so much that you wear the masks, but that the mask wears your body. It is the mask that is responsible for what happens rather than the wearer. Mask teacher Keith Johnstone emphasizes that masks do not at first have access to their body skills, nor can they talk. New masks must be given speech lessons. A mask acquires a repertoire of gestures, props, and postures as it develops its personality. Like any other growing person, masks can be playful, aggressive, or obscene, often behaving in ways that are very much out of character for the mask's user. This can become a powerful way of meeting your own demons and realizing that not all behavior we are capable of is in keeping with the way that we like to think of ourselves. Masks can lead rituals, representing an invoked spirit or leader of the Sabbat. Groups of masks can develop their own myths and perform rituals for an unmasked audience. Masks can also be used as guardians at a ritual site or temple, and if placed on stands turned towards the ritual, they can seem to be participating. It is common for guardian masks to call out to ritual participants that they want to join in. Principles of mask work. There are two basic types of masks, full face and half face. Full face masks do not have a mouth, and so cannot speak, relying on physical language to communicate. On the other hand, once half-face masks learn to speak, they hardly ever stop talking. Mask work cannot be done cold. It should always be directed by a leader who acts both as an anchor, should people fear that the experience is becoming too much for them, and who can let participants feel comfortable enough to let go and allow the mask to take over. The following exercises can be used as preludes to mask work. Animals. This is a game where group members take on animal roles and act them out, with appropriate noises and gestures. It tends to give rise to very stereotyped behavior such as mock fighting or grooming, but occasionally people do get very caught up in their animal roles, and as such can be used as a prelude to exploring shape-shifting. Faces. As we grow up, we tend to adopt characteristic facial expressions. They help establish the sense of personality. These faces become etched into our muscle patterns so that they effectively act as masks themselves of fear, pride, anger, or resignation. Faces begins by all participating making a wordless, emotionless noise, then making and holding the face that is appropriate to this noise. The group then mills about for a few minutes before stopping and exchanging feedback about how people found the exercise. One of the very observable effects of invocation is that often a person who is invoking upon himself, or alternatively having another person invoke an entity into him, will be seen to undergo marked facial changes. This can be taken as a positive indicator that the subject is becoming momentarily someone other than his everyday persona. Face painting. Face painting can be a useful preparation to working with masks. I've also seen, you might have remembered that in Basic Witches, they use beauty masks that have like animal print on them, dragons or pandas or tigers, etc. They often... Oh, shit. One. Maybe, possibly. I'm gonna have to pick up my car at some point. The application of face makeup has been in itself a ritualized act from the most ancient times, as a way of invoking and projecting an image that one wishes to identify with. It can be extended to body painting, for example, and used to enhance the animal's exercise mentioned earlier. The possibilities are limitless once you start to explore the different media. Props. It can be surprising how effective using a simple prop can be as an aid to playing other roles and projecting different images of yourself. An exercise used in a mask exploration group was for one person to give everyone else in the group a single prop and ask them to use it in such a way that as to suggest a particular character or stereotype. This was both amusing and instructive. For example, a faded poncho gave rise to Clint Eastwood, complete with slow, purposeful walk and gunfighter poise. A pair of mirror shades threw up a Mr. Cool character as you might see in any American cop show. A shabby overcoat brought out a wheezing tramp. These characters were displayed through participants altering their bodily posture, movements, voice, and manner. It is quite easy to make yourself into other characters this way, and the skill of doing so can be put to good use in magic. Not only is it useful exercise in overcoming habitual patterns, but it allows one to be more flexible in assuming different personalities in both group and solo events. Hi, Katarina. Glad you could hop in. You caught me at a weird time. It might be noon. I have an appointment at 11 that I need to attend to. In mask work, rather than trying to think of yourself into the role of the mask as might be suggested by its appearance, a trick is to stop thinking and let the mask do the work. The mask's personality may arise from the deep mind while the waking awareness is distracted. This can be done by humming loudly to block the thoughts while donning the mask. Precautions. Mask work needs to be approached carefully if it is to be done at all. It is a powerful aspect of the dramatic experience and should be respected as such. Some form of banishing ritual can be a useful method of bringing group sessions to a close. Solo work. Most of the foregoing has been written from the stance of group workings, but masks can also be used in solo meditation and ritual. Usually the degree of mask trance is not as intense as the group-generated effect, but nonetheless, it can still be a powerful experience. The most obvious use of masks in solo work is as an aid to invocation made to a particular entity or force. The use of a full face mask, for example, tends to affect the way one moves. The head has to tilt slightly upwards to balance the weight, and it draws one's attention away from the rest of the body. Also, the ritualized donning of the mask as part of the event can heighten awareness of the sacred nature of the experience. The mask becomes a sacred object, recalling the feelings, images, and symbols associated with a particular ritual or event. Invocation, like other techniques of magic, works through building up chains of association. The use of incense, oils, and perfumes, food and drink, colors and clothing are all worthy of consideration. The conversation about laundry and the, smells. Smell is probably the least understood and most undervalued of our senses. We rely so much on sight and hearing that smell affects us almost subliminally. This is in contrast to most other animal species. Many animals receive much more information about their environment via smell than sight or sound. The power of smell is that it evokes associations. Memories, hunger, sexual arousal, and fear can all be brought into conscious awareness by a particular smell in a way that is both immediate and intense. Speaking of nasty laundry, Hence the use of incense in building a ritual atmosphere. Over the last decade or so, the investigation of the properties of smell has increased. Aromatherapy is becoming increasingly popular, and most hospitals now have coma kits which contain very strong synthetic smells, which are used to stimulate patients who are in deep coma following a trauma. Give them a bed sheet and a belt. One of the difficulties with smells is that unless you are used to working with them, they are difficult to describe. It is much easier to recall a sight than a smell, and when trying to describe a smell from memory, we rely heavily on symbolic associations. This may be due to the fact that in humans, only a small region of the thalamus, the area of the brain dealing with sensory information, is concerned with smell. Women are more sensitive to certain smells than men. For example, the menstrual cycles of women who live together often become synchronized. This appears to be facilitated by the secretion of pheromones, external chemical messengers. The offering of incense and fragrant perfumes to deities is one of the most ancient forms of worship and invocation. The question of what is the most appropriate form of incense or perfume for a deity is very much a matter of personal choice, and there are basically three approaches to choosing scents. Firstly, there is a way of historical authenticity. Secondly, there is the path of more magical correspondences, whereby some authority has already decided what smell corresponds to which god, planet, color, etc. Thirdly, there is the Tao of choosing whatever scent you decide is most appropriate. Some scent, which is what I do. Some scents do have distinct physiological side effects, such as clearing the nasal passages or raising skin temperature. Others may be artificial, but no less evocative. There is nothing like the smell of a dentist's waiting room to rouse apprehension and tension for some people. And if you can use such a combination to help build an appropriate ambiance, then by all means, use it. Food and drink. Food and drink are often used as sacraments. I don't offer food and drink just to offer it. I offer it in hopes that we can share it. or it'll be imbued on the altar. A loincloth is also a viable form of coverage, especially in this weather. Holy cow. Let's see. Allowing participants to absorb the divine essence of the invoked entity, and what kinds of food and drink are used can depend very much on the overall ambiance of the ritual. I offer Ekate candy on Samhain. Usually a candy that I don't eat. Mead, for example, is the chosen quaff of the Northern Germanic tradition, while some of the Loa Vodun are partial to a toad of rum. In Dionysian ritual, the very act of drinking may itself be considered an act of invocation, where the spirit of Dionysus would make himself present in the first celebrant to reach an appropriate state of consciousness. Eating and drinking are themselves sacred acts. Offerings of food made to gods during the ritual is often consumed as part of the general grounding from the working. Moving from serious magic to work to feasting and revels is a time-honored way of closing a ceremony. Clothing. Really wear what makes you feel witchy. That's my opinion on the whole thing. Though he has very, he has his own ideas on what should be worn or not worn. A robe, usually hooded, is considered the basic uniform of the working magician. The robe serves to conceal one's body outline and provide a further level of reinforcement that one is doing something different to acts performed with normal clothes. I do have a robe. I just don't think to use it. Rooster just slightly growled at my butt. Oh. The robe serves to conceal one's body outline and provide a further level of reinforcement that one is doing something different to acts performed with normal clothes. For most magicians, it seems to be the case that one either works robed or naked, or i.e. skyclad. Working naked has its own effects, especially in groups where newcomers may well experience hang-ups about their own body image or harbor the suspicion, usually unfounded, that a group who works naked is going to end up in bed together. Working naked also leads to perceptual changes. The area of the skin exposed makes the body surface a more effective sensory organ, and the fact of being naked usually ensures that one is more alert to possible dangers. Okay, have fun. Dressing the part. In addition to these basic approaches to clothing, you can also consider dressing up for the invigatory ritual. While most magicians tend to make do with visualizing themselves wearing the appropriate garb for invoking a particular deity, you can have a lot of fun and achieve some stunning effects by using costumes, masks, face paints, etc., the preparation of which can be as rewarding as the ritual itself. Yeah, my Wiccan initiation was skyclad in a very public park. I'll note. Musical instruments. The use of musical instruments as an aid to invocation, or even as the main form of invocation, again has an ancient lineage. While tape-recorded music can add ambiance to a ritual, there is nothing to beat actually producing sounds yourself. Here are some examples of easily obtainable instruments. Whirlers. The Grecian inks. It's I, Y, and X. Inks? Is basically a small wheel suspended at the middle of a loop of string. The string is wound up, and as the string unwinds, the wheel spins, making a rushing, humming sound. The inix was used to invoke and banish deities, drawing them down to possess the celebrant. It is thought that the Thessalian witches used the links to draw down the moon, and it was widely used in rainmaking, binding demons, and love magic. Related to the inks is the bull roarer, which at its simplest is a piece of heavy wood with chamfered edges, at least 10 inches long, with a thick length of cord attached. When whirled slowly over one's head, it makes a droning noise, and if whirled at speed, a rushing humming sound. It is an outdoor instrument, and the user should place himself where unwary onlookers are out of danger of being clouded. Rhythm makers. The trance expert that I know, she likes using frame drums. I have a frame drum. I just need to practice it. I just don't have like a situation or a place and time to practice it. It's a very nice drum. I just need to figure out a time and a place to practice it. The use of drums, shakers, or hand claps to create rhythms, I clap my hands a lot, is the simplest and often the most effective enhancement to ritual invocation, particularly in neo-shamanic styles of magic. Drumming itself can sweep a ritual celebrant into possession by a spirit. In the pseudo-Masonic ritual style of post-Golden Dawn magic, hand claps or strikes upon a bell or gong are often used to punctuate different stages of the ritual. Sustained notes. The singing bell of Tibet, basically a bell with a handle. Oh, I have mine upstairs. I have like a little ringing altar bell on my altar, but my singing bowl is upstairs. You hold the handle and rub the bell with a round block of wood very quickly, producing a prolonged singing tone. I wouldn't say very quickly, just, you can do it slowly and still get that hum. Lightly tapping a gong with a soft hammer will produce sustained notes. Also in this category fall breath-powered instruments such as didgeridoos, bugles, whistles, conches, and thigh-bone trumpets. Conquering Demons, Chapter 9. Which is the chapter that I'm on. I might as well just take my bookmark out. Personal demons. Personal demons are latent structures within the psyche, unresolved complexes and repressed voices thrown up by the ego as a defense measure. They act seemingly independent of our conscious volition so that we experience them as beyond our control. These structures are habitual emotional or behavioral patterns which are experienced at times as problematic, something which has not been successfully integrated, possibly because it has resisted examination or analysis, or through lack of awareness of habit or pattern, or indeed how to deal with it. In tantric practice, these demons are known as kleshas, and the process of working with them is known as klesha smashing. In a broad sense, demons are the blocks of behavior, emotional and cognitive responses to life situations. To give an example, jealousy. In this context, jealousy is less some tentacled monster that arrives suddenly from another dimension, but rather a response to a situation. You come out of a workshop and have a row with your partner because it seems to you they've been responding to the speaker's flirtatious behavior. Personal demons are summoned into stressful situations. If jealousy is an issue for you, then when you are presented with the evidence which confirms and supports your fears the evidence which confirms and supports your fears about this issue, out pops jealousy demon in a flurry of accusations and emotional storms. That's why I like Kundalini. Throat noises really help to find the state I'm trying to get into, plus the mind dissociation noises and smells with certain patterns like muscle memory. Yep, absolutely. And my mind responds heavily to music, noises, and atmosphere created by both. Me too. I ran out of the kind of incense I would normally burn in my cauldron. I prefer like cone incense. I have a ton of Buddhist incense, which there's no reason why I can't use some of that and burn it in my cauldron. It's just, it's kind of awkward. Unlike the traditional demons from grimoires, personal demons often do not have a shape, sigil, or name, yet they can exert tremendous power over us. And like the more traditional demons, they can be identified, bound, and got an email. Just trying to keep an eye on my phone. They can be identified, bound, and through magical procedures transformed into something which works for us rather than against us. This is where conquering comes in. Is this one page? Yes. It can be useful to identify these intrapsychic structures as demons for the purpose of working with and integrating them. If you find, however, that you are using the idea of having a demon as an excuse for behavior for which you are loath to take responsibility, then you have gone seriously astray. Saying, "Oh dear, my jealousy demon slipped out, which is why I had a temper tantrum when you spoke to so-and-so," is not the most effective way of dealing with personal demons. You are admitting that the demon has more control of you than you do of it. Also, Christina bought things. Hydrate. Oh, hydrate, kick-ass, chew bubblegum, all the things. Yes. And I'm all out of gum. Rather, by isolating the tangle of inner conversations, attitudes, fears, reflexes, and fantasies, given this rectangle a distinctive name, shape, and sigil, it becomes progressively easier to observe the circumstances in which the demon appears. This involves awareness of the relationship between your own feelings, other people's responses, and how you perceive these demons appear. Wait. I skipped a line again. This involves awareness of the relationship between your own feelings, other people's responses, and how you perceive these responses contribute to feeding the demon power. The fact that these demons appear in everyday situations rather than isolated conditions of a magical ritual often makes them harder to deal with. Accountability and self-awareness is important. Don't give them the power to control you. Absolutely. As Aleister Crowley once said, it's easy for us to summon demons. So make yourself comfortable. Bring into your mind a situation which invokes a demon that you find difficult to subdue. It needn't be anything monumental, any situation which provokes a response which you would like to deal with in a different way. You will notice the stressful situations often provoke these demons to rise up within us. The fight-flight response kicks in, as does depression, fear, anger, etc. All are emotional cognitive patterns which arise from a condition of physical stimulation, a bodily gnosis, if you like. There is a feedback loop between the physical sensation and the context which kicks off the emotional mental response. This gives the first clue of transforming demons from an overwhelming, uncontrollable experience into something which you can understand and bind to your will. Such demons are often related to knots of tension in the body, knots which are drawn ever tighter with each appearance of the demon. So, the first stage to short-circuit the feedback loop between physical anxiety and the mental and emotional responses. And then tomorrow we'll talk about emotional engineering. And I think they talk about Ganesh being the binder of demons, which is where I left off. We're almost at the end. I like how gnosis is like a tiny paragraph at the very end of the book. Yep, it is the closer, which is hilarious. Emotional engineering. Because it's one thing to say that you can just like bring about a certain emotional state just by will alone. And I don't see the benefit in doing that. I can certainly visualize a situation where I struggle with it. There are super better. Yes. 2 sounds good. I need to go to the post office today. That's what I need to do. But I don't know that I'll be able to. Depends on when my car gets let out. Like trying to turn an emotion into another emotion kind of thing. Yeah. Like when you're already at peace and then trying to make yourself angry just to like deal with the anger demon. Like I don't see the benefit in that. Is summoning emotions on a whim. Yeah. But isn't that part of the shadow work? Is dealing with aspects of your personality that you disagree with? Such a great chapter today. Thank you, Bonnie. I do enjoy the concept of like, so I used to do a lot of trance work, and mask work was the way they describe mask work is extremely similar. It's with the sound, the smells. If we had an altar set up, and the altar had like a place where you could set food, usually chocolate and fruit, and that sort of stuff was most commonly offered. And then you smudge yourself, cover yourself in oils that smell good, and then do the things, because you want to smell good when you're, trancing out. So the idea of including masks in, actually, I do want to, let's see, sheets around here somewhere. Come on, load. Messages failed to load. Try again. Here we are. So my message was, so I'm reading Phil Hine on page 154 to 155. It talks about mass work very much like you used to run trance nights and other spirit work. Any thoughts on mass work in trance context? And she says, sure. Once you get past the basics of trance work and have conditioned your body to go into and out of trance safely and predictably, you can start doing more in-depth work. I call it catalyst trance, but that is not any kind of official term. I just use it to mean a trance that has a fuel source or a catalyst that keeps it going and influences the behavior of the entranced. You can also think of it as when the actual magic work starts. There are 3 essential universal components to catalyst trance, and I'm going to use the Greek words for them, but you can call them anything you like. Legoma, which are sound and incantations. Deknima, sorry, I'm trying. Deknimina, objects that trigger deeper trance states, such as masks or scarves or really anything that you have been conditioned to work with. Scarves was something that I worked with, and drapes, like a big scarf, like a veil. I much preferred working with that. You have been conditioned to respond to masks as a receptacle of power. Each mask grants a specific ability in the spirit world where you go when you trance. While trancing, your monitor lays this mask over your face. Oh, I guess I should wrap up. Okay. If you liked this video at any point, I encourage you to like this, give a like. Yeah. And tomorrow we'll talk about emotional engineering. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Hi, Jenny. Bye.